Act 2, Scene 4, enter Benvolio and Mercutio. Mercutio, where the devil should this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight? Benvolio, not to his fathers, I spoke with his man. Mercutio, why? That same pale, hard-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him so that he will sure run mad. Benvolio, Tybalt, the kinsman to old Capulet, hath sent a letter to his father's house. Tybalt, the kinsman of old Capulet, had sent a letter to his father's house. Mercutio, a challenge on my life. Benvolio, Romeo will answer it. Mercutio, any man that can write may answer a letter. Benvolio, nay, he will answer the letter's master. How he dares, being dared. Mercutio, alas, poor Romeo, he's already dead, stabbed with a knife. No, stabbed with a white wench's black eye. Run through the ear with a love song. The very pin of his heart cleft with a blind bow boy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt? Benvolio, why, what is Tybalt? Mercutio, more than prince of cats, I can tell you. Oh, he's the courageous captain of compliments. He fights as you sing prick song, keeps time, distance, and proportion. He rests his minim, rests 1, 2, and the third in your bosom. The very butcher of a silk button, a duelist, a gentleman of the very first house, of the first and second cause. Ah, the immortal passado, the punto reverso, the hay, H-A-I, the high, the H-A-I. Benvolio, the what? Mercutio, the pox of such antic lisping affecting phantasms, these new tuners of accent. By Jesu, a very good blade, a very tall man, a very good whore. Why, is not this a lamentable thing, grandsire, that we should be thus afflicted with these strange flies, these fashion mongers, these pardon me's, who stand so much on the new form that they cannot sit at ease on the old bench? Oh, their bones, their bones. Enter Romeo. Benvolio, here comes Romeo, Mercutio. Without his roe, like a dried herring. Without his roe, like a dried herring. Like a deer without his lady deer. Oh, flesh, flesh, how art thou fishified? Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed in. Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed in. Laura, to his lady, was a kitchen wench. Mary, she had a better love to be rhyme her. She had a better love to be rhyme her. Ditto a dowdy. Cleopatra a gypsy. Helen and Hero, hiddlings and harlots. This by a grey eye or so, but not to the purpose. Signor Romeo, bonjour. There's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night. Good morrow to you both, said Romeo. What counterfeit did I give you? Mercutio, the slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive? Romeo, pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy. Mercutio, that's as much as to say, such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hams. Romeo, meaning to curtsy. Mercutio, that has mostly kindly hit it. Romeo, a most courteous exposition. Mercutio, nay, I am the very pink of courtesy. Romeo, pink for flower. Mercutio, right. Romeo, why then is my pump well flowered? Mercutio, sure wit, follow me this jest now, till thou hast worn out thy pump, that when the single soul of it is worn, the jest may remain after the wearing solely singular. Romeo, O single-souled jest, solely singular for the singleness. Mercutio, come between us, good Benvolio, my wits faint. Romeo, swits and spurs, oh, I'll cry a match. Mercutio, nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done, for thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am sure I have in my whole 5. What is I with you there for the goose? Was I with you there for the goose? Romeo, thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast not there for the goose. Mercutio, I will bite thee by the ear for that jest. Romeo, nay, good goose, bite not. Mercutio, thy wit is a very bitter sweeting. It is a most sharp sauce. Romeo, and is it not then well served into a sweet goose? Mercutio, oh, here's a wit of Cheveril, Cheveril, that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad. Romeo, I stretch it out for that word broad, which added to the goose proves thee far and wide a broad goose. Mercutio, why, is not this better now than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo, now art thou what thou art by arts as well as by nature. For this driveling love is like a great natural that runs lolling up and down. I hide his babble in a hole. His babble, Bauble, in a hole. So he was just fucking with him and trying to get him to like get out of his fucking funk. Benvolio, stop there, Mercutio. Thou desirest me to stop in my tail against the hair. Thou desirest me to stop in my tail against the hair. But the girl, Benvolio, thou wouldst else have made thy tail large. Mercutio, oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was come to the whole depth of my tail, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer. Romeo, here's goodly gear. Enter nurse and her man Peter. Mercutio, 2-2, a shirt and a smock. Nurse, Peter, anon. Nurse, my fan, Peter. Mercutio, good Peter to hide her. Mercutio, good Peter to hide her face, for her fans the fair face. Mercutio's funny. Nurse, God ye good morrow, gentlemen. Mercutio, God ye good den, fair gentlewoman. Nurse, is it good den? Mercutio, 'tis no less, I tell ye, for the body hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon. Nurse, out upon you, what a man are you? Romeo, one gentlewoman that God hath made for himself to mar. Nurse, by my troth, it is well said, for himself to mar. Quoth A, gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo? Also, this must be the nurse of Juliet. She came in with Peter. Who's Peter? Peter is... Peter is... Oh, he's a Capulet. Serving men of the Capulet. Romeo, I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fall of a worse. Nurse, you say well. Mercutio, yeah, is the worse well? Very well took, I faith, wisely. Nurse, if you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you. Benvolio, she will indict him to some supper. Mercutio, a bod, so ho. Romeo, what hast thou found? Mercutio, no hair, sir, unless a hair, sir, in a Lenten pie. That is something stale, and horror it be spent. He walks by them and sings, an old hair whore is very good meat in Lent, but a hair that is whore is too much for a score, when its whore's air is be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? Will to dinner thither? Romeo, I will follow you. Mercutio, farewell, ancient lady, farewell. Sings, lady, exeunt. Mercutio and Benvolio. Nurse, I pray you, sir, what saucy merchant was this that was so full of his ropery? Romeo, a gentleman, nurse, that loves to hear himself talk, and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month. You'd like to listen. Nurse, and he speak anything against me, I'll take him down. Any word lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks, and if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave, I am none of his flirt gills, I am none of his scheme mates. To Peter, and thou must stand by too, and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure. Peter, I saw no man use you at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon should quickly have been out. I warrant you, I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see occasion in a good quarrel, and the law on my side. Nurse, now, afore God, I am so vexed that every part of me quivers. Scurvy knave, pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bid me inquire you out. What she bid me say, I will keep to myself. But first, let me tell ye, if ye should lead her in a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior, as they say, for the gentlewoman is young, and therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, a very weak dealing. Romeo, nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress, I protest unto thee. Nurse, good heart, and I faith I will tell her as much. Lord, she will be a joyful woman. Romeo, what wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me. Nurse, I will tell her, sir, what you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer. Romeo, bid her devise some means to come to shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence's cell be shrived and married. Here is for thy pains. Offering her money. Nurse, no, truly, sir, not a penny. Romeo, go to, I Say you shall. Nurse, this afternoon, sir. Well, she shall be there, Romeo. And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high top gallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell, be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell, commend me to thy mistress. Nurse, now God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir. Romeo, why sayest thou, my dear nurse? Nurse, is your man's secret? Did you ne'er hear say, two may keep counsel, putting one away? Romeo, I warrant thee my man's as true as steel. Nurse, well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady, lord. When 'twas a little prating thing, oh, there is a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife aboard. But she, good soul, had as lief see a toad, a very toad, as see him. I anger her sometimes and tell her that Paris is the proper man, but I'll warrant you when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter? She looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter? Romeo, nurse, what of that, both with an R? Nurse, ah, mocker, that's the dog's name. R is for the no. I know it begins with some other letter. And she hath the prettiest sententious of it. And she hath the prettiest sententious of it, of you and Rosemary, that it would do you good to hear it. Romeo, commend me to thy lady. Nurse, I 1,000 times. Exit Romeo. Peter, anon. Nurse, before and apace. Exit after Peter. So that was the end of Act 2, Scene 4.